Biological, cultural, and sociopolitical evolution of modern humans. Evolution, a gradual development of something. Biological evolution, it refers to the changes, modifications, and variations in the genetics and inherited traits of biological from one generation to another. Cultural evolution, it refers to the changes or development in cultures, from a simple form to a more complex form of human culture. Charles Darwin, he introduced the concept of evolution to explain the origins of modern human. Homo habilis, nickname handyman, discovery date 1960, where live Eastern and Southern Africa, when lived 2.4 million to 1.4 million years ago. This species, one of the earliest members of the genus Homo, has a slightly larger brain case and a smaller face and teeth than in Australopithecus or older hominin species, but it still remains same ape-like features, including long arms and a moderately prognatic face. Its name, which means handyman, was given in 1964 because this species was thought to represent the first maker of stone tools. Currently, the oldest stone tools are dated slightly older than the oldest evidence of the genus Homo. Homo rudolfensis, discovery date 1986, where lived Eastern Africa, Northern Kenya, possibly Northern Tanzania, and Malawi. When lived about 1.9 million to 1.8 million years ago. There is only one really good fossil of this Homo rudolfensis, Kian M. ER 1470, from Kobe Fora in the Lake Turkana Basin, Kenya. It has one really critical feature, a brain case size of 775 cubic centimeters, which is considerably above the upper end of age. Habilis brain case size, at least one other brain case from the same region also shows such a larger cranial capacity. Originally considered to be H. habilis, the ways in which H. rudolfensis differs is in its larger brain case, larger face, and larger molar and premolar teeth. Due to the last two features, though, some scientists still wondered whether this species might be considered an Australopithecus, although one with large brain. Homo erectus, discovery date 1891, where lived Northern, Eastern, and Southern Africa, Western Asia, and East Asia. When lived between about 1.89 million and 110,000 years ago. Early African Homo erectus fossils, sometimes called Homo ergaster, are the oldest known early humans to have possessed modern human-like body proportions, with relatively elongated legs and shorter arms compared to the size of the torso. These features are considered adaptations to a life lived on the ground, indicating the loss of the earlier tree-climbing adaptations, with the ability to walk and possibly run long distances. Homo heidelbergensis, discovery date 1908, where lived Europe, possibly Asia, and Africa. When lived about 700,000 to 200,000 years ago. This early human species had a very large brow ridge and a larger brain case and flatter face than older early human species. It was the first early human species to live in colder climates. Their short, wide bodies were like an adaptation to conserving heat. It lived at the time of the oldest definite control of fire and use of wooden spears, and it was the first early human species to routinely hunt large animals. This early human also broke new ground. It was the first species to build shelters, creating simple dwellings out of wood and rock. Homo florensensis, nickname The Hobbit, discovery date 2003, where lived Asia, when lived about 100,000 to 50,000 years ago. Remains of one of the most recently discovered early human species, Homo florensis, nicknamed Habit, have so far only been found on the island of Flores, Indonesia. The fossils of H. florensis date to between about 160,000 years ago, and stone tools made by this species date to between about 190,000 and 50,000 years old. Homo florensis individuals stood approximately 3 feet 6 inches tall. Homo sapiens, where lived, evolved in Africa, now worldwide. When lived about 300,000 years ago to present. The species that you and all other living human beings on this planet belong to is Homo sapiens. During a time of dramatic climate change 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolved in Africa like other early humans that were living at this time. They gathered and hunted food, and evolved behaviors that helped them to respond to the challenges of survival in unstable environments. Anatomically, modern humans can generally be characterized by the lighter build of their skeletons compared to the earlier humans. Modern humans have very large brains which vary in size from population to population and between males and females, but the average size is approximately 1,300 cubic centimeters. The two subspecies of Homo sapiens. The first one is Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, nicknamed Neanderthal, discovered date 1829, where live Europe and southwestern to Central Asia. Neanderthals are our closest extinct human relative. Some defining features of their skulls include a large middle part of the face, angled cheekbones, and a huge nose for humidifying and warming cold, dry air. Their bodies were shorter and stockier than ours, another adaptation to living in cold environments, but their brains were just as large as ours and often larger proportional to their brawnier bodies. Homo sapiens sapiens. Why is sapiens in Homo sapiens sapiens repeated twice? This is based on the early taxonomic classification of modern humans, wherein Homo sapiens sapiens is one of its subspecies including Neanderthals. While Homo sapiens sapiens is used historically, it is still a matter of debate. Many modern taxonomists and scholars have not used it and referred to modern humans as simply Homo sapiens, then later reclassified the Neanderthals as Homo neanderthalensis. The use of Homo sapiens sapiens remains taxonomic choice, but Homo sapiens without repeating sapiens is currently more widely accepted and preferred. Cultural and socio-political evolution. Hunting and gathering societies. Beginning about 250,000 years ago, hunting and gathering societies are the oldest ones we know. Few of them remain today partly because of modern societies have encroached on their existence. As the name hunting and gathering implies, people in these societies both hunt for food and gather plants and other vegetation. They have few possessions other than some simple hunting and gathering equipment. To ensure their mutual survival, everyone is expected to help find food and also to share the food they find. To seek their food, hunting and gathering peoples often move from place to place because they are nomadic. Their societies tend to be quite small, often consisting of only a few dozen people. Beyond this simple summary of the type of life these societies lead, anthropologists have also charted the nature of social relationships in them. One of the most important findings is the hunting and gathering societies are fairly egalitarian, although men do most of the hunting and women most of the gathering, perhaps reflecting the biological differences between the sexes discussed earlier. Women and men in these societies are roughly equal. Because hunting and gathering societies have few possessions, their members are also fairly equal in terms of wealth and power, as virtually no wealth exists. Horticultural and pastoral societies. Horticultural and pastoral societies both developed about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. In horticultural societies, people use hoes and other simple hand tools to raise crops. In pastoral societies, people raised and herd sheep, goats, camels, and other domesticated animals and used them as their major source of food and also depending on the animal as a means of transportation. Agricultural societies. Agricultural societies developed some 5,000 years ago in the Middle East, thanks to the invention of the plow. When pulled by oxen and other large animals, the plow allowed for much more cultivation of crops than the simple tools of horticultural societies permitted. The wheel was also invented about the same time and written language and numbers began to be used. The development of agricultural societies is marked on a water wash in the development of human society. Ancient Egypt, China, Greece, and Rome were all agricultural societies, and India and many other large nations today remain primarily agricultural. Industrial societies. Industrial societies emerged in the 17,000s as the development of machines and then factories replaced the plow and other agricultural equipment as the primary mode of production. The first machines were steam and water powered, but eventually, of course, electricity became the main source of power. The growth of industrial societies marked such as a great transformation in many of the world societies that we now call the period from about 1750 to the late 80s. The Industrial Revolution. This revolution has had enormous consequences in almost every aspect of society, some for the better and some for the worse. Post-industrial societies. We are increasingly living in what has been called the information technology age or just inform age, as wireless technology vies with machines and factories as the basis of our economy. Compared to the industrial economies, we now have many more service jobs ranging from house cleaning to secretarial work to repairing computers. Societies in which these transitions is happening are moving from industrial to a post-industrial phase of development. In post-industrial societies, the information technology and service jobs have replaced machines and manufacturing jobs as the primary dimension of the economy. If the car was the sign of the economic and social times back in the 1920s, then the smartphone or netbook/laptop is the sign of the economic and social future in the early years of the 21st century. In the factory was the dominant workplace at the beginning of the 20th century, with workers standing at their positions by conveyor belts, then cell phone, computer, and software companies are dominant. Industries are the beginning of the 21st century, with workers almost all of them much better educated than their earlier factory counterparts. Huddled over their wireless technology at home, at work, or at the road. In short, the Industrial Revolution has been replaced by the Information Revolution, and we now have what has been called an information society. And that's all. Thank you.